Continuing with the series of the new server project, part 12 will cover from day 51 to 61, marking the second month with this character. Starting on day 51, I went back to Oramon West, hoping for the quarter raid, and it was active. I kept hunting expecting it to disappear, and ended up almost doing 2 hours with the raid active, getting me from level 196 to 198. In the end, I ended up wasting almost 200k on the analyzer, which is not ideal but not too bad for 2 hours. On day 52, there was somebody looking for sorcerer to hunt busters, and I decided to try that, as that is the spectre spawn that I haven't tried. It ended up not being a full team as we hunted without a paladin, which they claimed it will be the same experience, and I agree, as most of the times 3 men to 4 men doesn't change too much, and in the spectre spawns in particular, the paladins don't do much. This hunt ended up being really good for experience, on average at 2.3kk of raw XP, which is twice the amount of XP I could do solo, and these are the kind of hunts where it is clearly better to team hunt than solo. However, it didn't end on a good note, because I ended up not getting my waste paid. Basically got ghosted afterwards, which happens sometimes, and is why on the previous 10 hunts I covered on the series, I will mention if they paid the waste or even split profit after the hunts. Regardless, I kind of expected it, because at the end of the hunt, my waste was higher than the druid, and it's because he was using imbuements and I wasn't. On the previous part, I mentioned that I don't plan on getting imbuements soon because they're expensive and not as useful, but that's only true when solo hunting as a mage. In team hunts, you can tell the difference very easily when somebody is not using imbuements and the rest of the team is, and it's understandable to not want to hunt with that person again. Anyways, moving on, for day 53 I went back to Oramon West, once again to hunt while the raid was active. This time it only lasted for around 1 hour. But after the hunt, I turned in the roots I have collected across my hunts, which was almost 50 points. I've been slowly working on increasing my points of Oramon in order to eventually get access to Glut bandits, and getting these first 50 helps to be able to do the task for killing the Oramon Minos, which is what I started to do the next day. As a backup plan, if the quarter raid wasn't active or the spawn was taken, then I will go hunt the Oramon East Minos. There I can continue to pick up roots and also do tasks for Minos in the meantime. The raw experience here was of a bit under 1.1kk, but the waste was much less than Oramon West, and eventually I was making profit on my hunts there, which is pretty nice. Another thing I did this day was buy a Yalahari mask. I had a cheap buy offer and somebody ended up taking it and selling it to me. I said before that I wanted to do the quest, but finding the team wasn't easy, so I ended up giving in. Additionally, I decided to imbue it and my stuff, but only with magic level imbuements. I did a tier 2 on the helmet and tier 1 on the staff. Both of them are cheap to get, and it is a simple upgrade of 3 magic levels. Very hard to say if it makes any difference, but can be worse than nothing. On a normal server, I would have gone for Mana Leech, but those are the expensive ones in a new server, and unfortunately this one can be imbued with crit. Regardless, for day 55, I continued to hunt Oramon East, but things went pretty badly this day. I died by making the mistake of not realizing my UE was still on cooldown and getting too close to monsters, and then after getting blessings and coming back, I died again on the second pool. This one was a very unexpected combo, which I knew was possible, but it happened on the easiest pool of this place, so it was just a bad play from being tilted from the other death. After buying blessings again, I went back and recovered the experience, ending the day with almost no progression. For day 56, I didn't play at all, but it was because my internet died and didn't come back for a long time. Next up, on day 57, I continued to hunt more of Oramon Minos. The spawn is difficult and engaging, with decent experience and profit, so it's a decent choice, but also Oramon West has been taken every time I check. At the end of the day, I exchanged my roots collected, and that plus the points from tasking Minos got me my next promotion in the Oramon quest. Now with 150 bolts turned in, I am able to sell loot of the monsters of Oramon, which was very important to actually turn the profit I've been making into actual gold. Something else I tried was hunting the more common spawns for Minos, which is the south area. I was able to do a 20-minute hunt, but it is worse and harder than the east spawn, mostly because it has more ranged creatures, which makes it harder, and less muta warriors means less profit. Moving on, for day 57, I went back to Faris. This time I wanted to try the spawn known as Mini Russia, which is a popular spawn for knights and paladins, but I don't hear of mages hunting there, so I wanted to try. But I also wanted to work on continuing the quest line of Faris, so if the spawn ended up being bad, I will stop after killing 200 monsters for the mission. However, it was pretty decent. The experience was low, sitting at the 700k of raw XP, but the balance was positive, and with how expensive silencer claws are at the moment, is even more profit. After my test hunt, I went ahead to do the boss in the second floor, which can be repeated every 2 hours for a chance of looting silver and gold tokens, but also is part of the quest that you must kill him at least once. I continued to do the missions of the quest and then logged out. For day 58, I decided to continue hunting at Mini Russia in order to unlock the bestiary of the weekend Frasmal and make some profit along the way. But I also wanted to test out the second floor this time, and it ended up being a bit better, but not by much, and it's harder to hunt as well. So after testing it out, I continued to hunt on -1 and ended the day at 206 after unlocking the bestiary. I left the silencers unfinished at 600 kills because it will take almost 2 hours to complete it. For days 59 and 60, I continued to alternate between hunting Oramon West or East, because in Oramon West, the raw experience was getting to almost 1.3kk while also working on the bestiary of the Quarter Scouts. And Oramon East because it's good profit and progress on getting tasks and points. Lastly, on day 61, I originally intended to end this part on day 60, which would be more accurate for 2 months with this character, but since I couldn't play at all during day 56, this is going to fill in for that. I started the day by trying out another spawn that I know has potential, the lower spike. I did a short 20-minute test hunt on the first floor, which is the easiest, but it was still hard to hunt and the raw experience was around the 750k. I will have to come back to try this out with more levels, because I felt too weak. After this, there was something else that I wanted to try, which in reality is what everyone knows about if you have followed this series, the Were Cave of Edrem. The last time I hunted here was during the double at level 191, and I wanted to see if there was still room for improving the experience, now that I was almost 20 levels higher and also with better magic level. And it did improve. The record was of 1.4kk of raw experience, but on average it was a bit more than 1.3kk, while breaking even on waste or profiting a bit, which I find pretty sad that ever since level 130, but in reality level 100, I haven't been able to find a better solo spawn than this. But anyways, I ended the day at 210, and that marks the end of the second month with this character. On the last 10 days, I went from level 196 to 210 and from magic level 75 to 77. I also spent 336 Tibia coins on mana cask and I bought back 300 coins. So this time I'm negative 36 coins compared to the 111 from the last video. This was mostly thanks to the Oramon Minos that ended up being good money, but also the coins have been changing on price, going down back to the 8Ks sometimes. Additionally, throughout this second month, I have made 265 charm points, while still missing out on 125 from Oramon West monsters, and a lot of other creatures that I could finish. That's all I got for this video. Thank you for continuing to watch this series, and a special thanks to Tuna Hero, Torte Slasher, and Drunken Watson for their support to the channel.